you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, I have so much yarn, I don't even know what to do with myself. Hello, welcome to my art studio. I am coming to you from the Chicago Children's Museum. You might have seen me there in the art studio. I miss you, and today we are going to be making t-shirt yarn. Okay, so for this project, what you're going to need is a t-shirt. As you can see, this one's an old one. It could be a kid size, adult size, doesn't matter. Scissors, and then a marker. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we want to make a tube of fabric. So how we're going to do that is we are going to cut the armpits off of our t-shirt. So take my marker, make a line all the way from armpit to armpit. Notice how I didn't measure? Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So then we are going to cut on that line. Oh. There we go. Okay. This I'll just put aside for later. Boop. And then you should have a tube of fabric. Okay. So with this tube, you're going to take one of the sides and fold it about almost to the edge, but you're going to leave, like, I like to leave 2 inches, but you could probably get away with just 1 inch. Okay, so if you see, again, we have this folded, our tube, the folded side, not the open side, the folded side, folded over with this little bit of space open. Then we are going to make some lines to cut some strips. So I'm going to start it past the fold, go all the way down to the other fold. Okay. I like to make them about 2 inches apart because I think it's easier to cut. But if you want to make them closer, hey, I'm all into breaking the rules, okay? Especially with art, there's not really so many rules, to be honest, okay? So now I have my handy dandy guide for cutting. I find it easier to turn it this way to cut. So I'm going to cut along my lines, making sure that I cut past that fold. So where did I get this idea from? If you haven't been to the Chicago Children's Museum in a while, or if you don't remember, we've been doing this for years and years. We have visiting artists come. So people that are working artists, that's their career, come and we'll teach a project with our visitors. This one came from Jamie Tubbs. She lives in Chicago and she works with fabric and fiber. And a big thing she does is weaving. So a project she did was like, if she wants to tell people to try weaving at home, how are they gonna weave if they don't have something to weave with? So she came up with this great idea to teach people how to make their own yarn out of t-shirts. Like, you'll be surprised how much yarn you're gonna get. You're gonna be like, oh my goodness, I have so much yarn, I don't even know what to do with myself. So at the end of this video too, I'm going to give you ideas for things and activities that you could do with this yarn, because goodness knows those of you at home have enough going on with like working from home and hanging out with your radical kiddos. So now we've got these strips here, and what's really cool about these strips, once you put them out like this, is they make a rib cage. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Okay, so organizing this rib cage out takes a little bit of time. I saved us time by doing that already. Okay, so the trick to this next part is you want to make one long continuous strip, right? Because we want a long piece of yarn. So before you put the lines down, you want to look and see, where's your line going to start? It's going to start here. So I'm going to put my line here so I know that. Then I'm going to follow this line. And I want to continue down. So then I'll put my line here. Then follow this line. It keeps going. This part can be really confusing. I get that. For me, before I taught this, I had to do it like 3 times. I recently made a comic where I show how to do this. Looking at a visual that's not moving or talking like I am might be helpful. But I'm just going to keep going. But what you're going to do is cut along those lines. What I like to do is, as I cut, pull my strip out. Don't worry about the, oh, look how long this is already. My goodness, y'all. Don't worry about these cuts being perfect. I think worrying about perfection when you're making things can sometimes really take you out of it. Our brains are such as if you're like in that critical thinking space, you're not in that space where you're feeling creative freedom. And that's really what we want here. Oh man. So now, look at all this yarn. So now, stretch it out. Stretch it out. This is really fun to do. We have these great photographs of when Jamie was there, of kids holding these across the studio space, just showing how massive their string became. You can trim it too on the insides, but if you just keep stretching it, it's gonna work just fine. Whoosh, stretch, 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 stretch. Now look at all this. Now, what can you do all this stuff? One of my favorite things I've ever done is wrap things. So this was an artwork, I used to teach high school here in Chicago. One of my one students made. Deep inside this thing, she hid something. And all of this is wrapped. There's nothing in here creating mass. It's just things wrapped over and over and over again. So why not try wrapping things yourself? So here I have a stuffed animal. Maybe, I guess you could think about making it into a mummy. Just wrap it. And this actually is really good fine motor. This is good for little hands. Right? Woo! How do you like that, Totoro? So you would keep going. That's cool. Then, of course, you might have a kid who's like, wait, I missed my favorite stuffy. Unwrap the guy. Then you can also weave. Weaving, you don't have to have something complicated to weave with. You just need a grid. Big grids like this. Let me find my end of my yarn here. I lost it. You just go under, over, under. Well, now over is on this side. You can pull it through. And then, if you want to get really wackadoodles, let's go across the whole thing. Make it go everywhere. Ah! Woo! So, what I also love doing is just wrapping it. And also, you don't have to tell your kids what to do with the string. I promise you, they will come up with some of their own ideas. Like doing this over a chair, over a table. It's up to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you try this out, please tag the Children's Museum in it. I want to see what you made. I miss seeing kids' art every day. Hello. So again, I will see you soon. Ciao.